So first, I'd like to thank everyone subscribed because of the last stream or whatever, the last week or two. You know, it's not the greatest amount of subscribers, but to a shitty channel like mine, it's all in the world. So thank you very much. And we'd like to keep this go. I'd like to keep this going. I'd fucking and fucking do some more shit. So, but I plan on doing some parody songs in the future. I've got some skits lined up and stuff like that. So hopefully I can keep this shit going. You never know. Sometimes makes you not want to do YouTube anymore because you get fuck all. The last couple of weeks has really given me life, so thank you to all of you. So like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments if there's anything I've said wrong or something I haven't said or whatever. Just fucking put it down below. And I'm on Twitter at the Shaking Fest, and that's also where you can send anything you might want me to debunk, or think that I can't debunk, that it might snub me and go, checkmate, atheist, or whatever, send that over to Twitter as well. Like every other Sunday, like this Sunday, I do a stream sometimes doing, sometimes going over people's lectures, going over podcasts, other times just shitty small videos from other YouTubers or apologists or whatever, or sometimes even pseudoscience when I can find any that I can be bothered debunking. And that happens at 9 p.m. Brit time on every other Sunday, and that would make that 4 p.m. Eastern, and that, like, this Sunday, it's happening this Sunday, so you should come and join me then as well. Cheers. Just say the word and you're forgiven, and have no fear 'cause he is risen, before you realize the rapture ensues, in this world in front of me, becomes a fading memory. Rejoice just as the choir sings. Rejoice now. Nail me up again under the desert sun, and it only makes you stronger when they're fucking with your head. When they're fucking with your head. And it only makes you stronger. Forgiveness, it helps you when you're dead. And I told him, I said, it's ootin' a pishing it down out there. I mean, it's supposed to be funny. Because, he's like Gilgamesh Moses. The rain. Hey, if you were Mesopotamian and you could speak English, you'd find that really fucking funny. Hello, everyone out there in the void. How y'all doing? I didn't make a video last week. It was my 12-year anniversary, so I was doing that because it was more important. I would have made things to bring up last week, but I couldn't be bothered because I was doing anniversary things. So I decided to come back a little something easy, doing something a little easy from somebody called Redeemed Zuma. And he's given us all 10 arguments, and that's what the title says, all 10 arguments for God. All 10 of them, no more, no less. There only needs 10, a perfect 10, like the 10 Commandments, or a Ty Dillinger. 10. Why wrestling? Anyway, so that's fun. So we'll do that, and he's doing all 10 arguments for God in 10 minutes because everyone knows the shorter and pithier the argument, the more veracity it has. So I'm going to take a very long time to explain why these 10 arguments are bunk. It's almost like simple intuitive explanations don't bring you to real answers. But we'll get to that, hey? It's funny how it's arguments for God and not the proofs for God, because I guess we've had too many. I mean, he might not have done this specifically, but I guess we've had too many Christian videos. Have you seen a waterfall? They're just so beautiful. And the sunrise, it is proof of God. So all 10 arguments, which actually means I'm going to lead you down a path of explanations that should lead you to my point of view, because that means more if you figure it out yourself with this, prescribed rhetoric that is definitely going to make you think what I want you to think, as long as you don't think of anything else except exactly what I've told you to think.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. There's what to do. And then it says that warning, and lean not to your own understanding. And saying, don't try and figure things out. Just trust the Lord like a little child trusts their father. Don't even question it.
How to share your faith effectively and biblically, to be able to reason with people, learn to circumnavigate or go around the person's intellect.
So this should be fun, and let's just get into it then, eh?
Let the games commence! Tarantata! Tarantata!
Unless you're raised in a Baptist Sunday school, you probably think that if you believe in God, you should be able to explain why.
It's funny because it's true, you know. But hey, maybe I guess as a person like me who grew up in the Southern Baptist, it wasn't even in the South, but my mum decided the Southern Baptist was the way to go because they did all the screaming and the shouting and the invective, and she loved it. It was like a performance to her because she's a moron. Anyway, when I was in church. When I was in Sunday school at my Baptist church, I'd got in trouble for asking things like, well, why can't science just be proving how God did things? Or like, what about the dinosaur bones? Why didn't God tell us about electricity? Or, just stuff like that. And I got kicked out of church, because I was asking inconvenient questions. And, that's what you get at a Southern Baptist church. And hey, I bet that doesn't happen in any other denomination at all, because you're all looking for proof and reason. Yes, you all want to explain why you can believe in God. Of course you do. That's why you come up with all the fallacious arguments that that are coming up. This is fun. Oh.
Luckily, Christians and other philosophers have been answering this question for over 2,000 years.
All the best arguments from God are from over 2,000 years old. We all know this. The older the argument is definitely the better. It's not like things have changed because we've learned new things. So maybe those arguments aren't as complete as they used to be. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some loser on the internet. Ha! Isn't life fun?
Evidentialism tries to argue outside their body by giving evidence of supernatural events. The moral, for example, a lot of Christians think the resurrection is only real, historically proven, but objective there are a lot of eyewitnesses, so therefore God died for their faith. Question: and generally, is cannibalism good or bad? No, isn't. I think it's good.
The good old trusty. The good old trusty. Well, the Jesus rose because there was just so many witnesses. So many of them. And they all died a martyr's death. Because the Bible says so? Wait, so St. Peter, his martyrdom was in the Acts of Peter. That was written over 100 years after Jesus died. St. Andrew martyred the Acts of Andrew. That is also much later, and neither of them are in the Bible. James said Acts. Oh, St. James, he was martyred by beheading, and that isn't Acts. Okay, so there's one out of 3 so far isn't bad. Okay, and then St. John, fate unclear. Well, Tertullian said that he was boiled and unscathed, so that's definitely true because Tertullian said so. And he didn't lie about anything, saying that people were like cannibals or anything like that. Saint Philip, he Acts of Philip, so that's not in the Bible. Saint Bart has 3 different tales, and none of them are in the Bible. Saint Thomas, Acts of Thomas, not in the Bible. His death was to be either of old age. Either of old age, burned, stabbed, stoned, or beheaded. One of them isn't martyring, but none of those stories were in the Bible either, so that's definitely true. Saint James the Lesser. I don't know. It's all we don't know. Saint Jude, Acts of Simon and Jude. And Saint Simon also killed in the Acts of Simon and Jude. And Judas, he died in the Bible. So that's 2. 2 of 12. 12 of the disciples definitely got martyred for Jesus. And that's one of them. One of the 2 was martyred. And we know that's true because the Bible says so. And because the Bible says so, it's definitely true, and that's the way it's always been, because the Bible is never wrong.
Of course!
I have a skin condition. Anybody have any thrushes?
Sometimes people give evidence of supernatural things like demonic possessions, where people start speaking in languages they don't know.
Well, you see, As long as Richard Gallagher says that it's true, then it must be, all the medical cases must be true because Richard Gallagher said so. Because, you know, everything of the god realm and the angel realm and the demon realm, they're all supernatural until they go, look, it inhabited a person, and now we can test it. Because, of course, that's when you can test it, is when it's inhabited a person. And so... So sometimes you can test it, and sometimes you can't test it, and it seems like that test usually revolves about how little you can explain about the situation. When, look, have you seen all the videos of all the people that are, you know, I don't know, taken over by demons? Have you seen all the videos? I've seen a lot of the videos, and a lot of those videos, they just seem to be people go, oh, I am Beelzebub, I am the evil slut, you know, Lilith, I'm gonna jack off the babies in the night. It's in the Apocrypha, it really is, it's lovely. But, you know, or Jezebel or whatever, and, you know, it's all, oh, look, I'm getting worked up into a zealous fervor, and everybody's told me that it's my last chance at getting better, that I can get this demon exercise from me, so I best do it to try and make people around me, you know, I don't know, continue to support me in some way. Maybe just people are just fans of them, and they want to act out, you know, because real cases of demonic possession are definitely, you know, well, not real, because, like, they'd have to be demons. But, you know, the demons can't be tested unless they've possessed someone. So, should we just leave people... So, I propose an experiment.
Experiment 1.
Where we leave people open to demonic possession, and we test them in the ways that are said in this book. I don't know. I haven't read the book, and I have no care to either. But you know, we could open up people to demonic possession with the priests that will then, you know, oh, in the name of Jesus, and they'll splash the water around and they'll get rid of the demons. And then if that all happens consistently, you know, in a testable environment, you know, we could have just, you know, just people, and the thing is, right, is what you do is you have it be blind, don't you? Because you don't have them know. You don't have them know they're going to be demonically possessed. You just say are you testing their math skills? And you do your little ritual, and then, you know, if in this math test one of them starts being, you know, possessed by a demon after being opened up to demonic possession intentionally, well then I think it should be studied further. But, you know, considering we'll never do anything like that. Because, you know, God's power is absolute and until, you know, proof is needed. Because he could show it for Baal, but not for anyone else.
Or near-death experiences where people see things outside their body that they shouldn't have been able to see.
And Christians, theists in general, because they go, oh, you know, they were on the table, and then they were floating above them, and they saw the time on the doctor's watch, and they heard them discuss about the pepperoni sandwich that they had, that maybe had a little bit too of the creme mustard on it, or whatever, you know what I mean? And then, oh, well, that is just proof that the soul was leaving the body, and it has nothing to do with, like, I don't know, anesthetic awareness, where your body can be paralyzed, but you can still wake up. And you might not necessarily remember that you've done it, but you can remember events while it happened, because, you know, your brain works like that. Also, you know, when you die, DMT floods your brain, and DMT is like really strong acid, man. You know, like, it's like really strong acid. It's not, I mean, it's not acid. It's not acid, but it's like it. You know, like the peyotes and stuff like that. I know they're not too like it, but the point is still, you get flooded with hallucinogens and then go, oh no! Everybody says that you see a big light, and then everybody hallucinates when they see a big light because they're told to. It's like how alien people go, well, you know, there was an alien film that had the greys in it, so now all the aliens are greys. You know how, like, they all change all the time because people hear a thing of a sci-fi film, and suddenly they're all like that, aren't they? And it's not like that for God at all. It's weird how it works like that for other things, but not for theistic things.
The moral argument is basically, objective morality is only real if God is real, but objective morality is real, so therefore God is real.
Ah, very simple argument. See how simple these are? Look, oh. It's so simple that even a child can figure them out. Because, you know, that's to show you how much proof they really are. Because, you know, a child can figure them out. Why can't you? Don't you feel dumb that you haven't accepted these arguments or figured them out for yourself? You know, because the fool says in his heart that there is no God. So, you know, all these. So let me get this straight. We're going to say, well, there can only be objective truth. There can only be, objective morals if God exists. And so there is objective morals. So, no, God exists. Isn't that a false syllogism?
Question. Is cannibalism good or bad?
Question. Question. Are you on a mountain, stranded, with dead people, where you have no food? And maybe you might need some sustenance, otherwise you're going to starve to death? Well, I'd like to suggest to you cannibalism. That seems morally not great to me. That seems more like, oh, that's a dead body right there, and it's a human. Don't touch the prions, or you'll get nasty diseases. Plenty of people throughout history have practiced cannibalism. It's not been a rare thing. It can be even ritualistic, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. It's almost like different people have thought different things about cannibalism, even though we right now think it's really, really horrible. Like us in the West, when we look at people in China that have, like, eat cats and dogs, and we go, oh, that's objectively horrible, but they got that objectively, yum, yum, yum. Like, objective seems... Why isn't it agreeing with me? If it agrees with me, it's very objective. If it doesn't agree with me, well, then that's just subjective, isn't it?
I think it's good. I think it's bad. I think it's good. I think it's bad. Which one of them is correct? Now, I'm assuming you agree with this one. If you don't, please stay away from me. But how do you know that he's actually correct? How do you know that these aren't just different opinions?
Because they are different opinions. That's the thing, right? Because he's not even framed this argument he hasn't even framed this argument that well. Is cannibalism good or bad, right? Now, does that include killing the person for cannibalism? Do you kill them for funsies? What if you're into vor? You know what I mean? What if you just want to eat a little bit of yourself? That's still cannibalism. To be a cannibal, you don't have to eat all of the person. Just a bit. So what if someone, I don't know, had to cut off their leg, and then they volunteer, and then to pay for that surgery, they then volunteered some of the meat to one of those, like, weird groups of people that like to eat loads of weird stuff. What about that?
Still serving human flesh?
No.
Yes!
No!
We have kind of an adventurous eaters club. We like to try new things. Can you seat 25 people?
Oh, well, we might have some more human meat, but it's, $50 a burger.
That's a deal.
What? Really? Great. Let's do it. Hello. Welcome. Human flesh. Right this way.
But hey, he could have made the question, easier to make his point. So well done on him for trying to make it harder on himself.
Our little friend here can only be objectively correct if there's a supreme authority that says cannibalism is bad. And that supreme authority is what we would call God.
Isn't that begging the question? Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm mixing it up with something. But so you say that therefore cannibalism is bad because therefore God exists. And it can only be objectively bad if God exists. And it is objectively bad, so God exists. That doesn't seem right to me. That seems like really false logic. See, that's the best thing about debunking this argument. They always try and think of, would you kill a baby? I don't know. If I killed this baby in a horrific way, would it save 1 million lives? Well, then it is morally justified to kill that baby. Trolley problem, anyone? Trolley problem? Trolley? Ding, ding, ding. No? So, another fun thing about the moral argument is you're supposed to go, yes, cannibalism is bad. It's objectively bad. So objective morality exists. So therefore, we have to... objective morality means that there's an objective moral stance for literally everything because it's objective, and objective means not subjective, so there can't be varying opinions. So it always has to be that. So then, if you bring up, things like cannibalism, killing people for, whatever reason or whatever, and then you go, well, see, that's objectively bad, isn't it? And everybody's supposed to go, yes, it is. So, for example, you have to agree that cannibalism is bad and there can be no exceptions, right? It doesn't matter how far out the exception is, that would still make it not objective, because objective means total. But whatever, that's beside the point. So, you have to agree that cannibalism is bad. Cannibalism is very bad. But by the way, have you seen that the gays are bad and you can't eat fish on Fridays or with well-mixed fabrics? I know, and, I know we get to pick and choose, but God says those things. So, you're supposed to follow them, and that's objective morality, like selling your daughter into slavery. Or if you suspect that your wife has cheated on you, that you should make her take the bitter drink, and then if it kills the child, well, then she did cheat on her. And you get to stone her to death, because, the cheating people should be stoned to death, Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. If you raped a woman, then you have to marry her. But, she... Objective, everyone. Objective.
The cosmological argument is basically that something must have caused everything else. Everything that happens has a cause, and that has a cause, and that has a cause. So where does this go? Does this go on forever? That's not possible. At some point, there needs to be a first cause of everything else. There needs to be an unmoved mover, an uncaused causer, an unchanged changer. It needs to be eternal, because if it ever starts or stops existing, that's change, and it can't do that. It needs to be outside the universe, because everything in the universe is caused. It also needs to be all-powerful, because if it can't be moved, but it can move anything else, that means it's all-powerful. And this is what we would call God.
Okay. Why can't that be some naturalistic process? I know, of course. I always harp on about this, and no one gives a shit. But the thing about God is he is a naturalistic process in himself. So why can't any of that, be the universe itself? Like, we think in everything in a very human way. Being humans and, water filling the jug that it's in, and all that, stuff like that. So then why would we think outside? Why would we try and ever actually comprehend something that isn't from a human perspective? Like, it's almost like, if anything, science has over and over and over again said, hey, I know it seems intuitively this way, because our intuitiveness in our brains tells us that this makes the most sense. But actually, the funny thing is science has shown that isn't the case most of the time. We intuitively thought that the Jews intuitively thought that because the sky was blue, it was water. So the God separated the waters. Also, because because Tiamat and Abs had the waters touch, so they had to nick their story. But that's beside the point. The idea that, well, the universe can't just go on forever. Well, why? Show me proof that it can't. You know what I mean? People like this will want to say stupid shit like, "Oh, show me when a canine show me when a canine turns into a tree," or whatever. How about you show me where the end of the universe is and where the beginning of the universe is, and then we'll talk. Because there's a lot of physicists out there that say, well, the Big Bang doesn't mean the beginning of the universe. It just means the beginning of the state of the universe in which we see now. And we don't know the state of the universe before it. So there could have been all sorts of things there that we couldn't possibly see because it's back behind the cosmic background radiation. Because we can't see past that. So maybe there was stuff before it and we wouldn't know. And you wouldn't know. But hey, the Bible said it was God first, so of course it was God. Because God's all the things that we need to be. It fits into all the holes because he's so conveniently out of our grasp that, well, and he's so nebulous that he can fit into anything, can he? He can fit into any of those gaps, any of them. And he signs of the whole of knowledge that we have. Well, it's just God, isn't it? It's just God. God's all the things you can't explain, even though we can explain more and more. And there's less room for God. So now he's beyond the beginning of the universe because we can explain inflation and, the cooling down of the aftermath of the Big Bang and, plasma and all the quarks popping in and out of existence and all these different things. And it really gets on the tits. But, whatever, yo. Can we come up with some better arguments, please? Do you know what? For this argument and the two before it, what exactly means that it's your God? So let's just, for instance, say, okay, well, maybe the first one you can say, oh, that proves our God because it was a miracle in the name of our God. Okay, you got me there. But how about this, the moral argument? Well, I suppose you could piece apart the morals from what it says in the holy books to what they want you to follow. But nobody follows the actual things in the holy books and the morals that it espouses, how to sell your daughter into slavery and stuff like that. So it's just picking and choosing as your morals as you go, isn't it? So that sounds pretty subjective to me. But that's going back to the last point, and I shouldn't be doing that. So what about the cosmological argument, right? What about that? Says that it's Yahweh, Jehovah. Why can't it be Tiamat? Why can't it be Enlil? You know, Ra, Thor, you know, Ganesh, you know, like, but there's all these other gods that say all the same things about how they made everything. So, or rule everything, and they're the ultimate being for one religion or another. So what about the cosmological argument, right, says that it's Christianity above, let's make this easy, Islam. What about the cosmological argument says that it can't, why does it have to, aside from, you live in a country that is predominantly that, or your family is that, or somebody you know convinced you of that, so that's the way it must be. So, what apart from that means that this argument is proof for your God and not theirs? Oh, wait! I know I won't really, because it's a video. So...
I don't get it. Okay, let's make it even harder then. Everything is a mixture of act, meaning what it is, and potency, meaning what it could be. For example, a baby actually is alive, and it could be an adult. An apple actually is red, and it has the potency to be eaten. So if you eat an apple, you're actualizing its potency to be eaten. But you also are a mixture of act and potency. For example, you have the potency to be strong, but you're not. Anytime something changes you, it's actualizing a potency in you. Anytime a change happens, you have one thing actualizing another, but you can't go back forever, so eventually you need to go back to an unactualized actualizer, which we call God.
The greatest pimp that ever lived. His name is called God.
God is the being that's pure act, meaning he is everything that he possibly could be. This means he must be eternal, because if he's not eternal, that means he has the potential to not exist, but there is no potential in God.
Stop! Blasphemer!
So that means God must always exist. Also, if God is everything he could be, he's also all-powerful, because he cannot change, and that means nothing else could possibly do anything to God. This argument's the most complicated. It's originally from Aristotle, and it's also used by Thomas Aquinas in Summa Contra Gentiles.
Ah, so it's really old, so it must be true. Because all the old arguments are definitely the best arguments, because they're really old. And they shouldn't be changed at all or have different feelings about them because we know more about the universe. It's almost like Aristotle thought that the balls, when they dropped and around puberty, also then your voice changed, that meant that your balls controlled, you know, your voice. And they thought that the Earth was the center of the universe. I mean, half of these beliefs comes from the Bronze Age and the early Iron Age when they thought that spitting on a wound cured it, or you should sacrifice all the animals because it's the only ways you can appease the gods to make the grains grow. Or stop the floods. Like... Yes, to people a long time ago, that seems really clever. Well, everything is the difference between act and potential, and the potential, you know, isn't as good as the actual, so God must exist because existing is better than not existing. So he must exist because it's better. Like... Do you ever wonder, really, if these sort of arguments are why Christian numbers are dwindling? Because they're so fucking stupid and inane that, like, nobody gets convinced by them anymore. Unless they were, like, hooked at a very young age, or, like, someone died, or they were a drunk, or something was wrong with them, and then they got, you know, they got hooked in their sad years because, you know, the people around them gave them a sense of community and a sense of friendship. So they were convinced. So then all the bad arguments convinced them. But, you know, because it convinces them, it's supposed to convince all of us. And it doesn't have anything to do with them being more gullible or us having better answers. But hey, you know, cosmological argument go, yo!
Pascal's wager is much simpler, and it's more of a thought experiment than an argument.
It's a pussy's bet. Also, it's the last stop of a person with no more arguments and no answers. Just come on! Please believe me! What have you got to lose?
Let's say you're an atheist, and atheism turns out to be correct. Nothing happens after you die. Well then, you don't really gain or lose anything, it's just kind of neutral for you. But let's say you're an atheist, and it turns out you're wrong, and God is real, then it could be very bad for you. Now let's say you believe in God, and it turns out atheism is correct, well then you still don't gain or lose anything, it's just neutral. But if you believe in God and God is real, then you could gain everything. So between these two possibilities, which one do you want to bet on? This one gives you a much better chance, so it's better for you to believe in God.
Much better chance of what? Like, what, so if I'm an atheist and wrong, will I burn forever? Okay. Also, if I'm an atheist and I'm right, do you know what we'd gain? If we actually got everybody to be atheists and we were correct, you know what we'd gain? A better life for everyone, because we'd stop trying to prepare for this next life that's coming, and We'd give more of a shit about the life we currently inhabit on the planet we currently inhabit, and about the people around us and what happens to them, because it might happen to us. And you never know. It's almost like we might actually come together more as a closer society, because we wouldn't have things like religion dividing us, or people using religion to spread political divides, to deepen, gashes in the societal fabric that many countries have spent many years, making. But, religion doesn't want that, because, well, you can't like anything but God, and you can't like any God but my version of God.
Because I never like to miss out a chance to congratulate someone on being humorous, if only unintentionally. It's very touching for Tony to say that he recently went to a meeting that bridged a religious divide in Northern Ireland. Well, where does the religious divide come from?
So I lose nothing eternally, and I gain things eternally, or may not. So it's about the eternal gains, right? It's not. So we shouldn't care. So again, we shouldn't care about the world in which we inhabit. I know God, your God, said that he gave us this world, and it was our dominion to look after. And it's weird. It's almost like we were supposed to take care of it, because he made us to till the soil, and we were supposed to take care of the land. It's almost like that's what we were supposed to do, and then people let religion go. Well, yeah, but do you know what we really need to do? We need to set the world on fire, turn the oceans acidic, and, spill out all the toxic waste everywhere, because, well, it just saves us a few pennies, because that's what God wanted. And so why don't you just believe? Because then you won't have to care that the world's burning and dying, because you have an eternal life to go to. Why would you care about this one?
The teleological argument says that stuff in the universe seems to have a purpose, so that means the universe must have had a designer. If you found a machine lying around, you would assume that somebody designed the machine. So the teleological argument tries to argue that the universe works like a machine, so somebody must have designed the universe.
Ah. It's obviously somebody must have designed the universe because of that, obviously.
Oh, obvious. I'll grant you it's obvious. Trouble is, just because things are obvious doesn't mean they're true.
I mean, of course it's obvious that somebody must have designed the universe, because... Why, exactly? What is it, the fine-tuning bullshit again? Oh, have you seen the way that everything is? It could only react that way because, I mean, have you seen a watch? What about the universe looks created? It's weird how we can watch the universe creating itself. But that's created, right? That's God's handiwork, because it's bigger than us and kind of unfathomable. So, well, that must be God, because people back in the day, when they looked up at the sky, they didn't have, when they were forming these religions, they looked up at the sky and they didn't have all these, like, cloud-covered fucking, that's just lit up from all the street lamps and shit like that. What they had was a pretty dark fucking sky with, I don't know, the view of the Milky Way, and went, oh my God, it's heaven. So everything's made for us. Because everything looked like it was, because, the people had built the cities there near the water, near the farming lands, because that's the best place for them to do, and it was obviously picked for them to be there because each village had a local deity or some kind of god that they worship. That's why you're not supposed to worship idols, because, God's actually there, so why would you worship them like the pagans did? All these people that said that they had patron saints of the towns. Why would you want that? Why would you want this city to be devoted to Enlil or, oh, God damn it, I can't Enki or whatever. I get so confused sometimes between, like I was trying to think, is Utnapishtim a god or is he a king? I have trouble with that sometimes. The names are weird, and the Mesopotamian names are a bit weird, and sometimes I can't remember. But that's a tangent.
Things in nature, like the human cell or the ecosystem of the world, are very complex and they work like a machine. Now, Darwinian evolution can explain why that is, but there's also things Darwinian evolution can't explain, like the 4 constants of the universe. There are physical constants like the gravitational constant and the electron charge, the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force, that are perfectly fine-tuned, such that if they were even the slightest bit different, the entire universe would immediately collapse in on itself.
But all of those things are reactions. They're not like things. The reactions of one set of things interacting with another set of things that, like, you know, is electromagnetism or the strong force or the weak force or the gravitational force. It's almost like when the universe when the universe started to cool after the Big Bang and inflation pushed everything away. It's like it started to form into things, and those things will always react with each other in the same ways because they're not prescribed actions, they're reactions. But hey, I know it's really easy to misunderstand this stuff because, well, to misunderstand this stuff really makes Christianity look better. So if you misunderstand it intentionally and you put across false information to show that you don't really know what the fuck you're talking about, it's almost like most of the people that you're shipping this shit off to won't know what you're talking about because, you know, the Christians, so they were either homeschooled or, you know, every time, you know, or they went home and the parents are telling you got to forget what you learned in school because they don't want you to know what God wants you to know. You know, of course, it always depends on, you know, how Christian you are. Because, you know, you could be a more liberal Christian who doesn't give a flying fuck. But hey, who gives a flying fuck? So, that's the end of my weekly talk. Because it's number 5 on a list of 10. It seems, you know, prudent to stop at 5 because it's halfway. So hopefully I'll see you on Sunday for the stream. Oh yeah.